our household was just open. It was just something that depended on your passion, what you wanted to do. And the fact that my father also was a scientist, he had no objection to anyone, any girl wanting to be a scientist. And I remember the first day I got to his workplace and I said, you know what, Dad, I want to be in the engineering department. And his friends were like, how can you have a girl in the engineering department? You know, can't you see she's got those boots, because we used to put on safety shoes and they were really heavy, and overalls. So they were looking at him and saying, Mr. Makumbe, how can you have your girl in engineering department, having overalls and safety shoes, and it's also a greasy, dirty area? But he told them that that is what she wants to do, and if that's what she wants to do, let her do it. For the inlet, basically on inlet, we have our control valve, which is there, and we also have gate valves.
Which is located?
Which is here. This is the chamber.
There is the pressure.
So that one is our control valve. Yes, this valve will control water, which it will open when there's water reaches a certain level in this tank, and then it will open. So we have water now flowing into the sump. Then when water reaches a certain level, it will close automatically. My name is Joy Makumbe. I am a civil water and sanitation engineer. Because of my job, I travel a lot. I've been to Uganda. Currently I'm in Tanzania doing project supervision. I have a daughter who is currently doing her O-levels. I grew up in Houghton Park in a family of 6, 3 boys and 3 girls. I am the eldest in that family. I did my primary education at Houghton Park Primary School, and then secondary education I went to St. David's Bonda in Mutare. My father worked as a quality control, and he was a scientist, and he's still alive. He is a scientist. So in our house there never was any issue of saying it's either boys or girls that can be scientists. It was open for everybody depending on their interest. And as we were growing up, I used to go to my father's company during the holidays just to work there. He used to put me in the mechanical department. I used to work with the boys there. So I got an interest in engineering. I got an interest in just seeing how things function. That exposure in engineering when I was still young birthed an interest in me in seeing how things work, how gadgets work. Because at his company there were boilers. We used to go and fix the boilers. There were pumps. I used to accompany the artisans there to fix those pumps. So I got interested in building things together and making sure they worked, or seeing that they are working. At A level, you know, we just used to talk as girls that, you know, if you want to do engineering, you had to do maths, physics, and chemistry. It was just talk amongst ourselves. Unfortunately, that time we didn't have any career guidance to know if you wanted to be an engineer at university level, what subjects did you need to do. So through a discussion with my friends, we decided to do maths, physics, and chemistry if you wanted to be engineers. And I remember there were 9 girls in our class who did maths, physics, and chemistry. And those are the subjects we did. Actually, people used to call them the mad people's combination. So it begins in the home, you know, what we tell our kids. So if we tell them, the girls, that is for boys and you can do more of a female career, then that is what they'll take, because it starts with the home. So I think as parents as well, let's just have the kids, let it be open and let the kids follow their passion. You know, my mother, she was a nurse. She's retired now. So I think in her field, we can also call it a science field. So for her, there was nothing really weird about her daughter wanting to do engineering. And in my family, actually, we have also a sister of mine. She's an aircraft engineer. You see, so doing engineering in our household has never been something, wow, where people are like, really? You know, it's been, yeah, I love it, and someone does it. So my mom, she didn't have an issue with that. She didn't sit me down to say, no, so now you've decided to do engineering, this and this are going to happen or not happen. No, she's been very, very supportive. Actually, I remember a time in my other job when I was much younger, there was a gentleman, he was my supervisor, and he was asking me out on a date. So I was not interested, you know, in that gentleman, and he kept on insisting. So I remember one time when I came home, I told my mom, I said, no, there's this gentleman who is really bothering me on this issue. So she said, no, give it time. I think he'll get it that you're not interested. The gentleman kept pushing, and because he was my superior, he got to a point where he actually got me expelled. He got me fired suspended from the job. So when I got suspended, I went back to my mom and I said, you know what? I've now been suspended because of that gentleman. And for me, I'm tired of this. I don't want this nonsense. So I'm just going to put in a resignation letter and I'm leaving. You know what my mom said? She said, you know what? If you, at your position, throw in the towel and run away, what about the other young girls that this gentleman has been pestering? Because I told her before that there are other young girls that this guy has been pestering and making life unbearable at work. So with those words, that was the thing for me. You know, that was the turning point for me. From there, I became a woman on a mission. I was determined to make sure I get back to work and justice is done. And I did. I got back to work. This guy got disciplined for all this. And right now, I'm happy. I fought it through. I didn't run away because I don't think I would have lived with myself now. And the funny part is, some few months ago, this happened years ago. Some guy from back then, he approached me and said, you know, do you remember your issue with this company and how you fought and won? You really were an inspiration to my daughters. And I was like, okay. So, you know, we make impact even when we don't know. And I'm happy I actually came in. And that was because of my mom. She's a fighter, that one. She's a fighter, and she will encourage you to fight for what is right. The time I went to university, I remember in our class, we were 2 girls. And we had about 30 boys. Electrical, they also had 2 ladies. And the boys were about, what, maybe 35. Mechanical engineer, we didn't have any lady there. And the numbers are still low. Recently, I was talking to a lady who is currently there at university, how the numbers have improved. In civil engineering, she's saying it's a bit better, but now you find maybe, what, 6, 8 girls in a class of maybe 40. Mechanical engineering, 1. You know, it's improved from 0 to 1. And I'm talking over a space of more than 10 years, which is a long time. So we still need to get more women on board. The statistics are still very, very low. In the workplace, you find on my site, I'm the only lady who's there. You see, managing a site. And if it's in a country where they're doing 6 projects, you could be the only engineer, you know, who's supervising a project. You see, so the numbers are still low. And women also have to be encouraged to do more site work. I know there are many negative things that are told about site work, that is dirty, there's dust, but it's not like that. It's not like that. You ladies, you can put on your makeup and still go to site. So let's have more women, you know, on site work and not just in the offices. We need to beef up on those numbers. And I'm hoping that maybe with awareness, with career guidance, awareness in parents, we can make a change in that. For me, I've heard those comments before, you know, so you want to be a man, you're doing engineering because you want to be a man. I tell them, you know what, I'm a woman and I would love being a woman. I just happen to be a woman who's an engineer. That is what I tell them, you see. So it's society, the norms, what people have perceived as norms, you know, that a woman shouldn't be an engineer. Even in the homes, they just, you're an engineer, your marriage prospects are really low. So let's not also socialize the ladies to say marriage is the ultimate achievement. You see, that if you're not married, you've not achieved anything. Your career has to come after marriage. I think that's so. It's all coming from society. Society has to be more, to appreciate more the women who are there, and to also try and boost, you know, other upcoming or those who show interest. You know, that is something which the women can do. When you talk of engineering, you talk of bringing solutions to the people, bringing solutions to society. It's about making impact. So for me, when I became a civil engineer, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to make an impact in society. So with civil engineering, you can do structural engineering, whereby you get to construct these high-rise buildings or these single-story buildings. You can also build roads, you can build bridges, you can also build water treatment plants, that is in the water sector. You can lay pipelines, you can be in the sanitation sector where you're looking at sewer removal, disposal and treatment. So for me, I wanted to be in the water sector because water right now is in short supply. You know, even here in Harare, there are some areas that don't have water. The community needs solutions to that water shortage. And worldwide, water is getting to be in short supply. So as engineers in the water sector, we come in, there is a body of water there which is not treated. We build a treatment plant to treat that water. We put in pipes to transfer that treated water to the communities. So for me, you know, you just get to a place, the terrain is open, you know, and then you watch the terrain change as you put up structures there, as you build. And sometimes when you're walking, I remember one time I was in Uganda, I was in the market. So I stopped to buy some tomatoes. This woman there, they were talking with the fellow seller there. She was saying, do you know that there is a contractor here who's going to bring water to our homes? I stopped because I wanted to hear what they were talking about. They said, really? Yes, I've seen trucks going up and down and people in reflectors everywhere. And they said, I hope that project finishes quickly because we really need that water. That feeling, you know, there's a feeling that comes to you to say, you know what? I'm actually going to bring about relief to these people. And we did. That project in Uganda, when we wrapped it up, water, treated water was getting to the homes and people got that water. So engineering is about making impact. If you want a career where you make impact, you bring about change in people's lives, then civil engineering or any engineering is the way to go. Besides the impact, you know, that you can see it visually, you know, it's visual. You know, you can see the change that you've brought about. And that change, you know, there's nothing like doing work and you see the change and you see the impact that you are making in that community. That is fulfilling. So besides that impact, it's also not boring. You know, like for me, I'm on one project, I'm on one site for maybe 2 years, then I move to the next site, all this, and it's different people, different cultures, different projects. So it is also interesting, you know, in terms of, it's not monotonous that, you know, every day I wake up, I sit at this desk, I stamp these papers, I take tea, at 5, I pick my bag, I go home. So you never know what to expect on site. You're changing things every day to make sure things work. You are dealing with different people, finding solutions, how you can do things quickly. In engineering, how you can be more efficient. So that also is exciting. You get to travel. It's not local, you know, just say engineers are required worldwide, you know, so you can find yourself in England, you can find yourself in Germany with that engineering. And as you travel, besides enriching you as a person, you know, in terms of the different cultures that you get to know, it's also enriching in terms of payment. Engineering, in societal terms, has been a men's field. So as a woman who is in the engineering field, you find that people at first, they just don't take you seriously. You know, they just think you're there for show. So I remember even on site, you know, people, if there's a guy there, they'd rather talk to the guy than come and talk to you. And then the guy is the one who tells them, actually, the lady is the one who is in charge. And I think it comes from, I've noticed on site, I've had some other younger lady engineers who've come. The seriousness is not there. You know, they're there on site, they're taking selfies, they're chatting, they are not involved in the work. So people generally, they've come to accept that the women are just not serious. You know, this is a men's thing. When we are on site, it's the men who are involved. The ladies are trailing behind. So I've had to make that punch to say, you know what, I'm here for this work, and we're not fooling around. And later on, you find they actually take you seriously. It's about making your punch. And you find even sometimes in meetings, you want to make a point, someone just cuts you in. So what you're supposed to do, not just fume and, you know, and scream, what you just say is that, excuse me, Paul, let me just finish my remark. And believe me, Paul will shut up and actually give you your time, and then you make your presentation. I remember recently I was in Europe. We had gone for a pump inspection, and when we got there, I was the only lady who was there, and I had 4 gentlemen. And unfortunately, it was also not an English-speaking country, but they did speak English. And we were in a meeting, you know, we're discussing our move for that day, where we would see the pumps, the specifications of the pumps, where we would do the testing. And they just started speaking in a foreign language, you know, and I was just sitting there. I just said, really? Is this what is happening? You know, but I kept my cool for a while. They kept on speaking. And then I just said, excuse me, I did not come to Europe to look pretty in this boardroom. You know, they kept quiet. They looked at me like this, and they just burst out laughing. Said, no, we're sorry. And they got back to English. So you need to speak out. You need to speak out. They do it out of being used to it. You know, women are just put in the shadow. You find in our field, it is rare for any company to want to put their bet on a woman engineer. You know, they'd rather, if there are 2 CVs there, you know, one is for a man, one is for a woman, they'd rather employ the man. You know, so as women, you are not given the opportunity. You know, people just already write you out before they even know who you are or if they've really seen your work. So I believe that even as people are given projects, there should be some law there which states that at least one of the engineers there should be a lady. You know, like the quota system that we have, you know, where we also had the quota system during our days in university, where they actually were encouraging girls to study engineering. Yes, I'm not supporting a quota system with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You see, these people know what they're doing, and they're given an opportunity. The quota system is there to enable people who have the ability to be placed in certain positions. So that should also be, I think, employed in projects, you know, to say we need a certain number of ladies here, you know, to promote women in engineering. And I think that'll be good. Because if it's just left like that, believe me, not many women will be employed. I got an opportunity because someone knew me from somewhere that I did a good job. I was professional in what I did, and that's why I got a chance. You know, so, but no one wants to take a chance on a new person, which is really wrong, because you are sidelining plenty of women who are good without giving them a chance. As we all know that, you know, it's not, Rome was not built in a day. So slowly society is becoming more accepting of female engineers, but we're still on the journey. So as a girl, as a lady who's out there and you want to do engineering, what I would give as advice is that you need to be professional. Professionalism is number one. For me, I've been on consulting contracts, and I've heard people calling, where did you get this woman? She's very professional, which means to them, it is something to talk about. If it was a man, it would have been something to talk about. So they expect women to be there loafing around, you know, the core business you do later. But for me, I'm professional. If it's the job I've come to do, that's what I do first. Selfies at my own free time. So you have to be professional. You have to believe in yourself that you can do this, because there's so many people who are going to come. I remember when I was growing up, they say, you've chosen to do engineering. You don't want to get married? You know, all those comments will come in. So you never want to put on your heels, you never want to do makeup, and it's all a myth. You know, you can be an engineer and you're married. I put on my heels on weekend. I put on makeup during weekends or on site. I had one site inspector actually. She puts on lipstick on site. So it's about what you want. Engineering does not hold you in. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to be tough. There are going to be people who are going to come and try to shove you around. But what I've noticed that some men are really scared of confident women. And that to me has been my weapon. That's what I use. You know, a guy will come up to you all knowledgeable and everything, you know, trying to shove you around. I look you right in the eyes and I ask you certain questions, and the guy just melts down and goes away. And he sees that this woman is not someone to mess up with. You see, so you need to be tough. The site is not a place for tears. If you want to cry, you cry in your own bed and we won't know. But when you're on site, you have to be tough, you have to believe in yourself, and the network helps. I am also a member of Women in Engineers. You know, it's a forum of women who are doing engineering. There's nothing like sisterhood. You know, we hold each other up, we share, and after that, there are even personal relationships. You go to someone's office, you chat, you cry together, you get advice. So that sisterhood also does help. When you are in a foreign country, I think the first thing you need to know is about their culture. What do they consider is important? How do they function? You know, for us, we'll be working on site. There are some cultures where people just don't want to work before a certain time, you know, maybe 7. They say we need to be taking tea, and you have to respect that. The fact that from your home country you don't take tea in the morning, you know, everyone doesn't have to take tea now, you get into problems. So you need to accept those cultural differences. You need to, the language barriers, you know, in some areas they just speak maybe Swahili. So for me, I've learned to speak Swahili. You know, I can speak Swahili, I can speak to the boys on site, and they can get the instruction. So those are some of the adjustments that you need to do. Culturally, I know at a certain project, they didn't like women with trousers, you know, but I'd say, you know what, we're on site, guys. We need to be climbing up and down, so we really need the women to be in trousers. And we talk to the local chiefs, local chairpersons, and I think it's about respect. Yeah, we approach them with the issue that, you know, we understand that in this place this has to happen, but can you just consent for those girls who are going to be on site to put on trousers? And they were allowed, and work moved on. You know, it's not easy being out there. It's not easy. It's different from home. You need to adjust and adapt to certain things. It sometimes gets lonely. You know, because after work you're just home. You don't have so and so to visit, an auntie to visit, your parents to visit. So it can get lonely. But for me, what drives me or what keeps me there is the impact I'm making, the change I'm making. That to me is enough driving force to keep me out there. When you travel, there are changes that one has to make in their lives. You know, you live a life here in Zimbabwe, you have a life in Uganda, you have another life in Tanzania. And I take my daughter with me. This place is where I go because I believe it's good for her. It's good for her exposure. And right now she's only 16, but she has learned a lot about the different cultures. She's learned about Uganda, she's learned about Tanzania. And I believe that's really more of benefit to her than just being at a desk. You know, that is life. She's learning more about life. She is appreciating some things back home, which before maybe she didn't appreciate because she's seen it's worse in other countries. So, but in terms of school, when I left Zimbabwe, she was young, so I could afford to change schools. You know, she could change schools every other year because I think the maximum I've been on a project is about 2 years. And it's worked out for me well because why? Form 1 and Form 2, she can be on one school. Form 3, Form 4, she can be on another school. And also the issue of boarding has also helped. If I had to move prematurely, she's been in boarding in those schools. And we always meet up during the holidays and always catch up. She always catches up with me in the next country that I will be in the next year, that she can actually move freely and not affect her grades. I do not believe in roles being either male or female, you know, whereby you say a chef should be a woman because we grew up seeing mother in the kitchen doing all the cooking and father was maybe cutting firewood, or father was driving, you know, or father was a mechanic and mother was a nurse. Your sister was a teacher, you know, and your brother happened to be in mining, you know, things like that. Now society should move from putting gender on roles. Let it be a thing of passion, what I want to do, you know. So I think it starts from home, it starts from the society, not labeling people. If you find a man who's cooking, you want to label them as someone who's who's now feminine, you know, because I think some men really run away when people just tell you, now you've become a woman, you know, or a woman being told now you've become a man because you're driving a bus or something like that. So people now leave careers of their passion because of what society is saying, because of the stigma. So as a society, wherever we are, you know, in schools, in workshops, in workplaces, let's remove that stereotype that gender has certain roles or careers that it should do. Let it be open, let it be someone's passion and ability that should guide what they want to do with their lives. I also lectured students at the Polytech and also at the university. For me, lecturing was a way of like giving back to the students. I had technical experience on site, so I found that lecturing to the students would be like current, you know, it wasn't just from the book. I would lecture them even on current technologies that we're currently using on site, how to approach certain problems from a site perspective. You see, and I believe my students actually benefited a lot from that based on their feedback on my lectures, that they were benefiting from the technical experience I had and also from the experience that I had with the books. So it did help my lecturing to the students. It wasn't just from theoretical aspect, because I believe that when you just lecture based on theory, some things you don't really get to the gist of the things. But if you have also done the things on site and then you apply the theoretical aspect, I believe that students tend to gain a lot on that. Lecturing, I will do it again whenever I have an opportunity, because it's a way of me giving back to society, because someone else taught me to be where I am. So I need also to teach somebody, impart also my knowledge on some people. I've always had a passion for encouraging women. So even in my classes, the girls knew I would encourage them to talk, because I think society has just taught the women to not talk at all. You know, when they are men, they let the men talk. You don't say anything. You don't have a word. No one wants to hear, or no one wants to listen to what you're saying. So I would encourage the girls in my class to always talk, to do presentations, to make their ideas heard, you know. And even when I went to some of the career guidance that I did in schools, I would take the girls with me, you know, and have them also talk, to say, you know what, I'm studying engineering, you know, and why I decided to study engineering. So it was about motivating them, boosting their confidence, you know, and making sure they also felt a part, you know, of also motivating other students. So the girls in my classes have always been a motivation for me to keep on coming, to be innovative, to make sure they're engaged, to make sure they know they matter and that they have a say in my classes. The lines you see mostly is just some pressure reducing valves that are outstanding, some tool washouts to be done, but otherwise basically everything is in place. So once I can actually connect customers on those lines. In Harare, there was a time I was with Costain Africa, then Costain. We did the construction of Megawatt House in Samora Machel. You see, as I pass there now and see how it is when people are going up and down there, and I just remember the days when it was just a shell, the near misses we had there, because, you know, at any construction site there are some things that happen. You know, to me it's just amazing that now that structure is now underused. The people are using that as offices. And so that was one project that I was involved in. I was also in Gweru, where we put in water in an area where there was no water really. People used communal toilets, communal taps, and we put in individual taps for them. And also in Chegutu, there was another project I was involved in, where we put in a sewer pump station and we put in sewer lines just to help with the sewer situation there. In my own perspective, as I have traveled, I've seen Zimbabwe situation, I've seen the Ugandan situation, I've also seen the Tanzanian situation. I think towns are expanding more rapidly than the expansion of the water treatment system, because you find that a treatment works that was built maybe for 1 million people, you know, that is for them to get adequate water, which is a quantity specified by WHO. now that same water treatment works is catering for 8 million people. So we have to come in and create more treatment works, build more treatment works, and look for sources of water, because you see, also water sources are running out. We need to explore more of where we can get this water. Ground surface water is running out and it's not very clean as well. Underground water is another option, but we have to look at it and not deplenish it and just drain it dry, you see. So we have to look at what else we can treat. Dams. Can we get water from Lake Kariba, you know, and treat? What is the cost of the pipeline, getting that water to Harare? What is the cost of getting that water to Kariba? You see, so it's about infrastructure. The infrastructure has to go hand in hand with the number of people now who are being serviced by that infrastructure, which is something which is lacking. The projects in Uganda and Tanzania, they're trying to address that, because you find the project where I was, we were supervising construction of a water treatment plant. You see, supervision of concrete reservoirs, putting in new pipelines. So all that is trying to make sure there's a balance between the infrastructure and the people who are being serviced by that infrastructure. I think what we lack right now in Zimbabwe is the funding. The funding. And when I'm talking of funding, let's just not look at external funding. I believe that as a people, we can also have a fund where we do collection for infrastructure development. So we need to have some funding where we are in a position now to do those major works, because you find that these are really expensive works. Like the project right now in Tanzania, where you're looking at 13 million euro, you see. So we need major money. So we need funding, be it external or internal. So we need to put that money together, because the expertise is there. You know, for some of us, we've been supervising projects which are out there. We have that knowledge. You know, we have that experience to supervise a project here. So we need that funding to come in, and we need engineers on board now to get moving and do the construction, because you can't do that work without money. To the parents, let your children decide what they want to do, boy or girl, because now there's so much information for these kids. This drive for career guidance also in schools is kids are becoming more and more aware of what is out there, you know, a pilot, being an engineer, being a doctor. So when your daughter or son comes home and says they want to be an engineer, they want to be a pilot, nurture them in that direction. They want to even, you know, become a sports person. You know, for me, when we were growing up, it was always about maths, physics, chemistry, you know, things like that. But nowadays there's sports, and people are making money from sports. So let it be someone's passion, let it be your son or daughter's passion, and you support them in whatever career they have chosen, because someone always gets fulfillment and they perform the best in something which they have passion for. If you're forced to be a doctor, you know, really, you don't perform to the best, because it's not what you really wanted to be. You wanted to be a pilot, you see. So people always shine in careers of their choice. So as parents, let us support our kids in the careers of their choice. We can guide them, or we can give them more options based on the knowledge we have. But at the end of the day, let them be the ones to choose.